Hi, and welcome to Talks with Shay. So today I would like to begin with reading from Psalm chapter 56, verse 3 and 4. And it says, "What time I am afraid, I will trust in thee. In God I will praise his word. In God I have put my trust. I will not fear what flesh can do unto me." So today, for part 5 of Dream, I would like to talk to you about just do it. So today I have with me Miss Kelsey Sanders, and that's right?
Yes.
Yes, okay. I just met her today, guys. So you're going to be meeting her. I'm just meeting her. We're about to learn about her business and how she started her own business. So welcome to Talks with Shay. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for saying yes. So what would you say got you? Tell us a little bit how you started with your business.
So, just like many other people who started business, it was COVID. I had this idea. I wanted to start at the end of 2019. I did the vision board. I had the plan, the name, the mission statement, all that stuff. And I was like, I'm going to start January 1st. Did not happen.
Oh.
January passed. I went to Mardi Gras, partied, still didn't happen. So I was like, okay, it's March. I have to start. So I launched my meal prepping company, Fuel Fleurish meal prepping service in March, the first week. And 2 weeks later, we all know what happened. The pandemic happened. So,
boo.
So through the pandemic, I was able to grow my business. But the reason why I actually started my business is I like to meal prep. That's just something for me not to spend all my money at Chick-fil-A or Popeyes to get all my money. So that was something that I did just to help me stay in line with not overeating, but having
she talking to us, y'all.
But having ready-made meals that are not necessarily, I'd still eat good things, but it's just easier and it's much cheaper.
Right.
When you look at your bank account and you spend $150,
just
swiping, Uber Eats, all the things, So that's what helped me to get into meal prep. And then, I started posting it and people was like, "Hey girl, you sell that?" And I was like, I'm not doing it.
I have to check her out because I've seen some of your food online on Facebook, and I was like drooling just looking at it. I was like, it looks so good, and it really does.
Thank you. Yeah, so a lot of people were messaging me like, "Hey, do you sell your food?" And I was like, "No." So after people kept asking me, I did market research. I had surveys of my friends and family, and they, gave the feedback as to, how much money they spend, what would be helpful. So that's what I used. And so like I said, I started in March. My first month I did 100 meals. And then, within the pandemic, of course, living shopping, you can't really go out to eat.
Right.
So I was able to scale and grow really fast, which was a blessing, but also a curse. I can speak to that later. But by the end of the summer, I was almost doing 75 to 100 meals a week.
Wow.
Right. And so in the midst of me running my business, I was working full time. I did not like my job, so that was one reason why I kind of gave it, and I tested out to see, but I did not like my job. I cried every day when I pulled into the parking lot. It just wasn't the best environment for me, for my health especially. So stayed there, just kept my head down, kept working, but I was also in grad school at UL.
Wow.
I was getting my master's in business administration, so I was doing those two things. So from 2018, I went back to school in 2018, doing my 2 years of school, still working full time, and then I added something else. So I was working full time, business basically full time on the weekends. So
I don't think we're doing enough. She's making me feel like I'm not doing enough.
Trust me, listen, I wouldn't put this on anybody. But I was doing the school full time, work full time, and then between Thursday and late Sunday, that was like my meal prepping schedule. So that was like full time too, because I would work all day, get off at 5, take a nap, and then like meal prep during the night, and then on Saturday and Sundays I would travel. So like my first set of customers was like in Baton Rouge, New Orleans. So
wow,
I was traveling on Saturday and Sunday, and then getting ready to go back to work and doing school again on Monday. So that was what my life was like. till about August, and like I said, I hated my job, but I was like, I'm just finish school and wait to see what happens. But I applied for another position within the company, in hopes of moving up because I've been there for so long, and they all gave me praises about my work and X, Y, and Z. But when I put my name in the hat, I didn't get the job. I was interviewed by someone who didn't even know me, so that it made it worse. But I was like, you know what, it's fine, because before I applied, I told myself I wouldn't apply for any other jobs until it was basically my business. And so I forgot that I spoke those words over my life, and I had to reflect that
I went on my own.
Right, I was like, I said it, but I wasn't really listening to it.
Yes.
So that was God just holding up the mirror. It's like, this is what you wanted. So that gave me the push to look further into my business. And so the company was bought out, and so I was approached, and they said either you can take this position or basically you can leave. And the position that it was, I had absolutely no desire to do what it was. So I was at a crossroads, like, okay, well, do I stay or do I just take a leap of faith? And so obviously I quit. August 2020, I left my full-time job, and I've been doing this full-time ever since.
Ooh, that's awesome. Have you always wanted to have your own business, or like well, you obviously went back for business management, right? So there was always that business side of you. Did you always want your own business, or?
No. So how I got into the MBA program is when I graduated undergrad, I received a scholarship, which is a McNair scholarship for minority students, basically. If you're first time graduate, it's a scholarship you can apply for. So I was a recipient, so that's why I went back to school. But I initially wanted to go back to school for dietetics, but they didn't have that program in UL, and it would have been so much more work.
So health has always
been my thing, because my undergrad degree, a bachelor's degree, is in exercise science. So I played sports all my life. So sports and working out and other things, that's just been
sports.
That's just been in me. So when I went back to school, like I said, I had intentions of doing nutrition, but that just wasn't there. So I'm like, whatever. UL has the MBA program. I don't have to take any prereqs. Like, I can just get in. So that's how I started that. And like I said, it just fell in my lap. I always wanted to have a restaurant, but I always said I would have a restaurant like once I have my job and set in my job, which of course that's not it. So I still want a restaurant, but this is what I'm doing now. I never thought I would be a chef.
Well, look at you. So if you had to tell somebody today that's listening in that may be wanting to start their own business, or may have these different fears, what would you say, like, to motivate them to push through it and don't stop? Like, if that's what you want, go for it. Like, what would you encourage them with today?
It's such a cliche, and people always say, oh, shut up, I don't want to hear that. But it's like, just start. When I started, I was literally taking like $100, $200 out of my paycheck, going buy supplies, prepping the food. Of course, I would get, the rest of the sales off the meals that I sold, but I was just taking money out of my paycheck. That's how I funded it. So it's not about the money. If you have the idea, or if you're talented, God gave you that vision. And sometimes, we always question or we ask for validation. And I had to learn it too. Stop asking people. Like, I remember when I was trying to figure out my business name, I was sending it to my friends, and they was like, oh no, I don't get it. Oh no, that's the time. So I'm like, stop asking them. Like, they don't know. Only one person knows, me and the other person, which is God. So after I stopped asking them, like, I came up with my business name. I had my, my motto, all those things. And so when I presented that, they had questions. But when I explained to them what it was, it's like, oh, it makes sense. So I give them my logo, like it's a fleur de lis, but like it's a fork, a measuring tape, and basically a fruit tree. So eat, Fuel Fleurish. And so, like I said, going back to just starting, is you don't need.
She's saying it so fast, y'all, but it's eat, fuel,
flourish.
And flourish.
And you spell flourish, Fleurish. So that pays homage to Louisiana, like fleur de lis. And I still have to correct people. It's not with an O, it's with an E. Like I said, it's just to go back to our Louisiana roots. But going back to just starting, you don't need $1 million. You don't need to have a luxurious kitchen. I'm still at my house. And I'm working on things right now to move forward. But like I said, you don't need a million things to, like, you just have to start. And I know for me, like, because there's something that I want to do, but I feel stuck, and you're not the first person that said it. You just have to do it. Literally just do it, and there's so many fears. What if this? What if that? But what if everything really goes right? And that's the thing, is like, if you don't fail, then
You can't succeed.
You can't succeed. Like, you have to fail, and it's going to happen. And like I said, it's cheaper to fail fast, to fail quick. Because if you spend $1 million and you never tested your product or whatever, why would you spend $1 million and you don't even know if they're gonna like it? Now you have $1 million worth of product or an idea or an app that you built, and now it's not used.
Right.
Fail cheap. Like I said, I started with just a couple $100 a month, and like I just kept investing in it. But like I said, you will never know unless you start. So
that's good. I like that. Well, I hope something she said, resonated with y'all today. I know it has for me, because like I said, I'm at a standstill with something that I want to do. But I appreciate, like you said, the validation, because I think I can speak for myself. I look for a lot of validation, which comes from a lot of insecurities, and so I'm just that transparent person. People don't like to admit when they're insecure with things. I'm that person, and so insecurity holds us back from doing so much, and so you're looking for that validation for somebody to say, yeah, you can do it, that cheerleader, and sometimes you just don't have it, so you just have to go out and do it yourself. I like that. Well, I'm glad she was able to join us today. But before I go, I just want to remind you, if you haven't already, check out my website at www.talkswithshay.org. You can subscribe to my videos on YouTube and find me on Facebook. Like my page, share my page, invite your friends to like my page. But one more thing before we go, where can they find you at?
So you can find me on my website, www.eatfuelflourish.com, and then I have all my social medias linked to that. So I'm on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, I think all of those. And then I am Chef Kels on my personal page, but you can find all of that on my website.
And I'll have all that information as well on this video. So thank y'all so much for joining us today, and thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.